Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we're getting some pretty intriguing news over here when it comes to PlayStation, and it kind of is a little bit on the bad side. Now, as you guys probably know, consoles are kind of the big, I guess, kind of general topic right now, where it seems that the Xbox consoles have not been selling as good as expected, and PlayStation as a whole was kind of the big industry leader for quite some time, but it seems like that is now finally starting to wane. And as we kind of go through all these looks, we're now getting a lot more internal stock information, kind of some bad news, I would say, maybe good. It's kind of like a blend, but I think it kind of rounds more so to bad. And it seems like the Sony stock has also been kind of taking a pretty big hit, where overall it looks like the future projections and outlook when it comes to things like the PlayStation console are not doing the best. And I think a lot of people are kind of concerned on what's next. How do we kind of get this next big step in terms of gaming? And also, how do we stop all these layoffs that are happening everywhere? So I'm going to go talk about this throughout today because there's a lot of big information coming out. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below if you guys would like to go and follow. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on all this down below. There's also a lot of good news we're going to be coming all throughout today, so be on the lookout for that. So, when it comes to like big shareholder meetings and stuff, like we even had that from Xbox not too long ago, we get a lot of like kind of intriguing information in terms of what games work, what games don't, and well, everything else in between. And right now we're kind of seeing some weird stuff where a while ago, PlayStation actually toned down their expectations and the stock fell, like because they're just not going to be making as much money, and they kind of went publicly and said this. But right now, even with those lower projections, it seems like they also still lost the sales target. They have some pretty big kind of closet wins, such as Helldivers 2, doing quite well, and their stock's doing kind of okay-ish, like their software side's doing good, but the hardware side, which is kind of their big bread and butter, which kind of puts them above the Xbox side, is where things get a little bit on the harder side. So PlayStation's full-year revenue did actually rise to $27.5 billion, but also narrowly missed the PS5 sale target, and the Helldivers 2 is the fastest-selling PlayStation title to date at 12 million copies in 12 weeks, which is ridiculous, and once again shows the power of the PC side. So a lot of stuff to break down into this video. Sony has released its full-year financial results, showing a solid 12 months for its PlayStation business, ahead of a year in which it was forecasting declines. So it's still like, I'm going to say this, in terms of PlayStation console, bad. In terms of PlayStation as a whole, kind of doing okay. Like, it's could be worse. Could be worse. The platform holder saw net sales for its game and network services division, which includes PlayStation, rise by 17% year-on-year for $27.5 billion, while operating income rose 16% to $1.9 billion. Sony also managed to ship 20.8 million PlayStation 5 units throughout the fiscal year, and this was an improvement to the 19.1 managed in the previous year. So it still wasn't up, like it still is a win, but fell slightly short of its 21 million target, and that's not good, because I want to remind folks, although like on record that seems nice, the bigger issue is that this is outside of like the pandemic issues, supply crunch issues, like semiconductors are very easy to go maintain and get, and at this point, like it's kind of showing a lot, like a waning interest in the console. Still good, still getting good sales. It's not like desperation where Xbox is kind of getting close to, and that's why they're moving games to other consoles. No shots on Xbox, just how it is. So this in itself was already reduced from the initial target of 25 million, and that's what I said at the start of the video. And where, let's say, put this at 25 million, and now it's at 19 or 20.8 million, that kind of goes and shows that there's been a pretty big waning of over 4.2 million consoles, and it kind of goes to show that a lot of things are now kind of calming down, just in general. So alongside its financial results too, we did also, and I'm going to probably do a separate video on this one as of like today, as I kind of get through the day, we also do have the brand new CEOs, and you heard that correctly, CEOs. So we're going to go a little bit more in depth on what that kind of means and what gets kind of changed up with that. So right now, the full year numbers are at 12 months ended on March 31st. Of 2024, and this is all the big boy stuff. $72.2 billion, up 12% year on year. Operating income is $6.6 billion, up 5%. So as a whole, Sony itself as a company still doing good. But don't forget, Sony still has movies, TV shows, software, etc., and the consoles are not doing well. But the consoles are kind of like the growth factor, who they can sell their games to, etc., etc. The game and network services net sales was at $27.5 billion, up on 17%, and the operating income from that same subsection is at $1.9 billion, also up 16%. The net sales over here, this is all just for the full year. Net sales, though, that ended up in March 31st, was up 9% at $17.9 billion. Operating income was up $1.3 billion, up, so around 115%. Game and network sales was at $7 billion, up 2.2%, and net games and network service operating income $868 million, up 1.72.5%. So we're seeing huge numbers in terms of software, which is good. Once you get the install base, which you want to go and fight head over heels to get, then you got to sell and make that money back, selling games, services, PlayStation Plus, whatever. So it's intriguing to see. But breaking down the full year results for its basic games and network services division, Sony reported software sales of around $14 billion, up 24% year on year, of which the digital software and add-ons accounted for $12.1 billion. The platform holder said that 286 million games, insane, were sold for the PS5 during the course of the year, of which 40 million were first-party titles, which also kind of goes to show like how big these other outside party titles are. So I think maybe like, say, the Final Fantasy games, which were definitely quite a few million, and other games add up. By comparison, the previous fiscal year saw 264 million games sold, of which 43 million, though, were first party. So it seems like the numbers went up higher because they were more focused on other outside games, and first party games were not as big of a deal. Although we did have like God of War, Horizon, Spider-Man, and may have toned down a little bit. According to VGC, Sony announced during its earnings webcast that Helldivers 2 sold 12 million copies in 12 weeks, which is insanity, across PC and PS5, which we've kind of talked about that subject a little bit in our video. Where basically it seems like PlayStation really just needs to open up that PC side. They need to go embrace that. They need to go make this new horizon and basically try to get more people playing their games. The PlayStation titles still do well, but console sales are going down. And if you want to keep on expanding, where else do you go? Mobile, PC, or maybe even Xbox and Nintendo, depending on the game. And they need to go and start doing this now because Xbox has been making those moves, and the Switch doesn't really need it. Like, they kind of do their own thing. The company said that this was far exceeding expectations and makes it the fastest selling PlayStation game to launch to date over anything else, it seems like. Hardware revenue saw a 9% boost as well at the $10.9 billion, which there was a decent growth in revenue from network services, including PlayStation Plus, at all this up as well. There were 118 million active PSN users at the end of quarter 4, 3 months ended March 31st, 2024, down from the 123 million reported at the end of quarter 3, but up from 108 million marked in the year. So there's a lot of big numbers are actually going up. It's sad because some of the numbers are going down in terms of overall console selling for the sales, but profit's still there. They're still making good margins, maybe even get a cheaper price point too as well for their consoles as a whole. And as well, they still have people getting more people on PlayStation Plus. People are maybe doing the tiers of PlayStation Plus, PS4 users as well. It's like not the world's worst. I know this is also kind of why they wanted to focus on having so many Helldiver people join, because these numbers are nice. But at the same time, you want to have these active PSN users. So if you could have another 12 million people from Helldivers and they have 118 million active PSN users, that's another 12 million that can bolster up that number to 130 million active users, mainly on the PC side, which is still big either way. They said the success of basically their whatever it was called, the Games and Network Services division, was set as a key factor for overall results too as well, and also had increases in music, financial services, and imagining and censoring solutions too as well. They do have a forecast of the new financial year reaffirming the company's previously stated expectations for a decrease in hardware sales. There's also deliver a decrease in hardware losses, which is also nice to see. The platform holder expects an increase in non-first-party sales titles and a decrease in first-party due to basically no real big games coming out throughout this year, which is still a heartbreaker to see. The forecast also predicts an increase in sales from network services too as well, so basically expecting more people to join on PlayStation Plus. So this is their long-term forecast. Say something they want to go have their sales maybe bump up to $73 billion, which is insane, up 1%. Operating income up $7.2 billion, up 9%, so basically getting better margins, making more money. The game and network services net sales, they want to have that maybe potentially go down, intriguingly enough, but that would make sense. They have less big major games. Helldivers had a huge influx, and they probably will tone down / has already toned down. And as well, they also want to still expect their operating income to come up. Now, they think a lot of these price points will be a little bit better due to the fact that they will make more money by having maybe less games being made, in theory, as well as probably make more money in terms of just like selling their games on their platforms on PC. The games are already pretty much made, just have to be ported over, think Helldivers. And at the same time, if they're selling other games like Xbox games that they don't even have to make and spend the money on to make it, just market it and publish it and say, yes, give us the coding, we'll rock it out. It'll probably make the company a little bit more money. So it does seem like the end-all be-all forecast is not the worst. PlayStation consoles do seem like they're toning down. That's not good. but at the same time, they are making money elsewhere. But right now, the fact that we have no major game for the holiday season so far, and they've confirmed this on multiple times, is still a little bit of a concerning factor. So I want to hear your thoughts, because I always love seeing these financial results, and it does seem okay, but at the same time, consoles still look like they're dying off, and that's still an intriguing thought, but everything else looks good. So I want to hear your thoughts and comments down below. We have the Twitter and Twitch if you guys want to follow down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Give me your thoughts as well.